Okay, welcome back. So previously we talked about the bash built-in commands, talked about the tilde expansion, and we also talked about the parameter expansion and looked at the etc profile and then the .bash rc .bash profile and .bash logout files. And now we're just going to go ahead and jump in. And if you notice, previously I gave an example using the HISTFILESIZE. What the bash command allows you to do, if you notice on the terminal here, is anytime I run a command, it stores the commands I've been using in a file called the history file. Okay, and usually the history file is located in the home directory. So let's see if we actually have any entry. So it's supposed to be the home directory and it's a hidden file. Let's see if the file is set. History. Okay, so well, there's not really created a file yet, but you'll be wondering, how do I know that is the bash history file? Now if I run a set like we did before and I go to the history section here, you can see here that the files get created in the .bash underscore history file. So what happens is your system, anytime you reboot or you try to restart, it tries to store the history file in the hist file. This is just a file that stores the history. Well, here you can change the path or the location of where to store the history file. Here you can change the history file size. If you notice, this is still running because this video is a continuation of the previous one. So previously we changed it to 2000. This is actually in bytes, so if you want 2000, this is 2 kilobytes, and to me I believe 2 kilobytes is sufficient for your commands. And here this is the hist size. So what that means is how much of the files or commands does it store in this file. So well, this is something that it's somehow important, because if I have commands and I've typed up to 1000 commands on the terminal, then they get stored in the history size. But what happens now when I type more than 1000 commands? Then what happens is it reduces the commands from the previous section, reduces the commands, and now it only removes the old commands and put the new ones in there. So that's how it works. So that's that for the history file size. I showed you how to set it. So for instance, if I want to just update the number or size of the history here, which is the hist size, so all I need to do is to export new values there. So hist size, and I'm going to give it a new value. So let's say I want to store 2000 commands like we did. Okay, so here if I run the set command again and I go up a bit, here you can see that the hist size has changed to 2000. So that's what we have to talk about. History here, it's really important, because anytime I press the up arrow key, you notice all the commands I've been typing is coming up from the history file or history in memory. So this is where the file gets stored. Alright, so another thing that is of interest most of the time is the alias command. Now alias is a very simple concept. It's just a way to assign shorter names to your commands or an action. So for instance, you can have a whole lot of commands that does an action, and you come up and you give it a short name that represents all that long action. So for instance, right now, if you notice, previously we said this is stored in the bash rc file. So if I use a text editor, let me just cat it first. By the way, cat is just short for concatenate. It just allows you to show the output or display the contents of a file in the standard output. Alright, so that being said, let me bring up the .bash rc file. If you notice here, you can see there are already 3 aliases have been set. One is for remove, and remove is an alias for remove for the -i option. The -i option is just for interactive mode. So what that means is if you try to remove a file, it's going to come up and ask you, are you sure you want to remove the file? Okay, so that way make sure that you don't accidentally remove a file or copy a file or move a file. Alright, so let's say you want to add a new alias. Alright, so the syntax for creating alias basically is just type in alias and then the new name of the alias. So let's say you want to give a new alias to copy. So this is, I know in DOS, in Windows this works. So I want to give an alias called copy to CP. So I'm just going to make sure it's equal sign. Please always remember that there is no space after the equal sign or before the equal sign. So everything is chopped up together like that. And if I do an alias copy and I put the CP command and I press enter, now anytime I type copy, it tries to can see here CP file is missing operand. This is because it tries to run the copy of CP command and did not find any syntax. Okay, so this shows that our alias is working. And the problem with this though that I just did is what happens is if I lose this session or I restart the system for some reason, then I lose all the settings. I have to recreate the alias again and I have to set the new ones. So what if I want to really make it stick? I want to make it stay so that anytime I reboot or I restart, I don't have to set the alias again. That way I know that my alias for copies for CP is copy. So then I have to go to this time around I use a text editor called Nano. Nano just allows me to edit the files mostly in the command prompt. So you can see I'm in Nano here if you notice the top. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this line and paste it twice. If you're wondering how I did that in the shell, I just basically press the Control K command and then Control C. That's how you Control U, sorry, not C. So I press Control K to cut that line and then Control U to paste the file, so the whole line in there. So here I'm just going to edit this. It's a copy, and it should be CP like we did before. Alright, so I'm going to save this, and now anytime I restart my machine, there's always going to be an alias copy that points to CP. Alright, so that's on aliases. And one of the very important commands that you see people use a lot too in system administrators using their script is the backticks command. Now backticks allows you to expand commands. So for instance, if I just run an echo of let's say date, so let's say today's date, right? So today is, then I put date. For some reason today is I put the date command and I type enter. You notice that this gets passed as a string. It doesn't care what this is. This is because echo just echoes everything after it. Now what if I want to substitute this with the date command? Because if I just type date here and I press enter, you see that this is actually a command that gets or displays the date. So for me to actually include this in my script, I will have to now include it in what's called a backticks. So let's type this again. So today is, but now I introduce the backticks. Now the backticks are not quotes. Please ensure that you know the difference. The backticks are actually where you have the tilde symbol on your keyboard. So instead of pressing the shift to access the tilde, you just press the key and then it gives you the backticks command or backticks symbol, and then I type the date. Right, so if I press enter this time around, you notice the difference. Today is, then it outputs the command. I know that this is a command, so because I want this to be run in the shell and then the result is taken back to this execution line here. So basically we say backticks are used for command expansion and execution, which is really useful and very interesting here. So well, you get to use more backticks in your shell scripts. More on that when you get to the bash scripting proper. But this just so you know that the backticks allows you to expand commands and it returns the result back to the executing line on code. So you can see today is Sunday, and you can see it tells you all the date and all. Which is good. It's good. So that's backticks. And the next thing I want to just quickly show you here is, if you notice, this prompt here shows you the user. In this case I'm logged in as a root user, so you can see root, and the @ sign here then tells me the first the host name. This is the name of the host I'm actually running on. So if you just type host name here, you can see this is full qualified host name, OFQHN, and this is the fully qualified host name for the host, in this case binghamini.lab CMP319. So it gives you the first format, and then the next one here is the present working directory. It always tells you where you are at every stage in the command prompt. So for instance, if I change directory to the home, here you can see that now I am in the home directory, and if I want to really know where I am at any point in time too, I just run the pw command, which is short for present working directory. Alright, so now that you've heard that, you've seen how it works, now let's look at how we can configure this prompt. And this prompt is actually being controlled by using the ps1 variable. So if I run an echo on the global variable ps1, here you can see this weird looking output here. This is just a shorthand for the output. Let me just clear the screen here and rerun the echo command, and here you can see that I have in square brackets here I have the user. Okay, the slash here just tells you that this is the escape code for the user, so this gets replaced by the user of the system. and then the host, in this case is the host, and then the capital W here is for the working directory, and then the /$ here tells or gives us the sign that differentiates the root user from ordinary users. So if I was logged in as a lower privileged user, then I will see a $ as opposed to the octothorpe or the hash sign, which is cool and useful. So let's say we want to edit that. Let's say we want to add time to the prompt, right? We want to always know the time of the day. Alright, so we can always use our export command. If you remember the export command, and I'm just going to rerun this. So I'm going to put the host name here, I'm going to put a space, then W, this is for the working directory, and now I'm going to put the sign. Well, this is the same as we have, but now I just want to include the /t option for time, and if I press enter here, alright, so I made a mistake. So ps1 equals, so I'm supposed to export the variable, not the command. Alright, so still making mistakes here, let's see. Alright, so let's include this in a alright, so sorry about that. I actually missed the quotes. I'm actually familiar with quotes. So you can see everything here gets replaced. This is the home, the root user, this is the host name, and then this is the working directory. But the addition here is you can see the time of the day. So right now the time is 3:11 23 and which is cool here. If you notice, it's cool. And then the prompt, right? So you can always customize this to show something that you feel it's usually preferable to you or better. So this is basically what controls the bash configuration, the prompt. So you can always remove that. You can say, okay, you want the host name first before the username and home and all. So always make sure you modify the ps1 variable. Alright, so hopefully this has given an insight into the bash history file, the HISTFILESIZE and the HISTFILE, the bash history file, how to use aliases and create aliases. I'll suggest you go ahead and look at the commands you feel you can always remember and create aliases for them. Alright, so how to use the backticks. The backticks is always there if you want to provide command expansion and execution. Another thing I just want to show you too here is just like the backticks command, you can actually chain a lot of commands. So we'll do that in the next video, but in this case we'll look at command chaining, and hopefully you've gotten an insight into the bash prompt configuration, which is stored in the ps1 variable. So if you have a lot of questions, or you have any question or you feel it's not clear, please, I'll refer you to read the course material I gave you. And if you feel you still don't understand, then you can always put a comment in the URL of this the course. You can always see it in the somewhere below the video. You can see the URL to the course, and this is useful if you really feel like you want to communicate. And I'm sure you guys, I welcome you guys to always put comments on that, and hopefully that it will be useful and helps you in understanding the basic concepts. So see you next in the video, and have a nice day.